I was upset about their debate or that I was like, how dare you? I refuse to do it. I was just like, yeah, I said I couldn't do it. And PBD tweeted at me, got mad. And I think he may have misinterpreted my tweet as to imply something negative about his debate.
Yesterday, I did a video on Tim Pool and Patrick Bet-David going after it. I did the video on Patrick Bet-David's response to it, and everybody commented and said, Tim Pool actually responded. Tim Cass responded. You know, he made this nuclear response, and it just absolutely destroys Patrick Bet-David. So in this video, we're going to check out the response of Tim Pool over on Timcast to this whole Patrick Bet-David versus Tim Pool situation. Apparently, he released a bunch of receipts and all this other stuff. So let's check out this video here from Timcast. Tim Pool reacting to the PBD podcast, calling him out and saying that he was lying, all this other stuff. Let's check this out.
Let's jump to some domestic news with a tweet from Patrick Bet-David, who says it's official. Chris Cuomo and Dave Smith have agreed to do a sit down with a live audience. PBD Podcast, May 31st at 6 p.m. And the hiring of Chris Cuomo, I believe he officially works for PBD. I don't want to get that wrong, but I believe he's like officially a part of their crew, whatever, has been contentious. And there's some e-drama, but I think there's an interesting question around the hiring of Cuomo and what you guys think. But we'll start from the beginning here. When it was announced that PBD hired Chris Cuomo, I said, I think this is a massive mistake. This is a guy who went on his show on CNN, mocked people for eating horse paste, joked about COVID with gigantic oversized Q-tips. His brother was putting sick people in nursing homes, resulting in an estimated 15 to 18,000 dead. Blamed Trump, said, well, Trump said this. Well, not even true. Numerous outlets fact-checked this. And it's funny because normally I'm not a big fan of the corporate press, but it was so ubiquitous in the press that Trump never said to put sick patients in nursing homes. But we saw many Democrat governors do this, and just Democrat governors. Here's a guy now who apparently...
How do you guys feel about the Chris Cuomo hire? I know I asked this in the last video as well, but at first I thought it was... I was on Tim Pool's side where I was thinking, yeah, this is just a huge mistake. Like, the guy is obviously an absolute lunatic, but I kind of enjoy... I would rather watch a lunatic go on a show with Patrick Bet-David and disagree with him rather than just keep watching roundtables of everybody just agreeing all the time. And I appreciate Tim Pool for bringing on people onto his show who disagree with him at least as often as they're willing to do it. It's hard to find leftists that are willing to go and try to debate people or have discussions with people they disagree on. Leftists like to stay in their echo chambers. So it was probably difficult for Patrick Bet-David to find someone who was well-spoken, presentable to be on a podcast, you know, and represent the PBD brand, but also doesn't have the same exact views as him. Like, is more of a leftist. It's hard to find those people. It is. So I appreciate the vision of Patrick Bet-David for trying to find some, you know, disagreeing voices. And I think that's a whole lot more entertaining than just watching a round table of people, basically a circle jerk, just agreeing with everyone all the time. It's boring. I'd rather watch disagreements. Let me know what you think, though.
Apparently has gone on, I think he was on PBD, I'm not sure where he was on, saying that he's actually suffering from side effects or some kind of, you know, some kind of side effect or I don't know what something like that. And he's taking ivermectin now. Now, I certainly do believe in redemption, but it is tough for me because Chris Cuomo was such an egregious actor as a component of CNN. I wonder, what is the purpose of trying to rehabilitate a guy with no following, who offers up nothing other than he would sell you to your death during the lockdowns? I don't quite understand why they brought him on. Now, Patrick Bet-David had said he wants to, you know, be more neutral and bring in the other side. My rebuttal is Chris Cuomo doesn't represent the other side.
Nope.
He was a corporate employee of a news outlet. He did not have a big following. There's no Chris Cuomo big fan base. His viewership on News Nation is relatively low. This idea, so perhaps it's just an oversight on PBD's part, or that's what he truly thinks, and I'm wrong, and that's fine. And I will lightly address the earlier tweet controversy, which is actually quite hilarious. I didn't know Patrick Bet-David was mad, but I actually got asked to do this debate. So I don't know exactly how it happened. I was contacted by a company that does PR work for us, and they asked me if I would debate Chris Cuomo on PBD's show Saturday morning. And I said, it's impossible because we do a live show Friday night. And there's no flights. Like, if we left the show Friday night, I get to the airport at 11, best case scenario, 11:30. And then there's no flights to Miami. So the only way we could do a Saturday morning show is if I got a private jet. I don't know if that's something they can do. And then I hear back from this PR company saying, they said, what about doing a Saturday night debate with Cuomo? And I was like, look, I'd love to sit
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
down and do this conversation, because I was like, I tweeted these 2 questions. What do you think your son learned from you when he watched you emerge from your basement after faking being in COVID lockdown? Do you think he learned more from you, or do you think he'll take more after your brother who murdered people and then tried to blame it on Trump? I'd love to sit down with this guy. But doing a Saturday night show, I said, well, that would mean wrap the show, go to bed, wake up. Then it's packing, travel to the airport, hour, commercial flight, 3.5 hours, plus an hour each way in the airport. So hour to the airport, hour wait in the airport, security, all that stuff, 3.5 hour flight, hour from the airport to the destination to arrive just in time for a podcast, do the debate, go to sleep, wake up, same routine on the plane. And I was like, the challenge is by the time I get back Sunday, I have done 14 hours of airline travel in 2 days, and then I have to record a show on Monday morning. I don't think I can do it. So unless we can do a private jet, it's not possible. And then I guess PBD got offended. I don't know if he knew the full context or whatever. And I responded, someone asked why don't we do this? I said, actually, I turned it down.
The whole thing to me, this is just me. Obviously, I'm not involved in this, so I don't know. But it seems like just a miscommunication. I didn't know. Patrick Bet David in his video never said that this was going through a third-party PR company. I thought this was somebody, on Patrick Bet David's team emailing someone close to Tim Pool, probably his booker, like the Cassandra girl or whoever books his guest, is who I assumed would be emailing. He would be who Patrick Bet David would be emailing, and then they would just ask Tim Pool directly, like, hey, they want you to do this. What's your response? And then he gives a response, and there's less of like a third-party company. I thought it was just like third-party people on each team were emailing each other. So it sounds like it's just a big miscommunication where Tim Pool was not saying like, it's private jet or bust for me. Like I'm too bougie. You must pay for my private jet or I'm not coming. It sounds more like if you're not going to do a private jet, like it's just extremely inconvenient for me. And then they kind of took that as like, give me a private jet or I'm not going to your thing. Like, so that's what it seems. It seems like it's a miscommunication. It was probably misconstrued maybe a little bit. And, the full context, it's hard to have the full context of it whenever you're not talking to the person directly. It's bad enough how badly messages can get misconstrued over text when it's between the two people directly. Like if Tim Pool and Patrick Bet David were emailing directly, it could still, the meaning of words and stuff like that can get misconstrued. But when it's going through a third party and it's through text, then it's really going to get misconstrued, So it seems like it's just a miscommunication so far.
And that's not to imply there's anything wrong with their debate. I was upset about their debate, or that I was like, how dare you? I refused to do it. I was just like, yeah, I said I couldn't do it. And PBD tweeted at me, got mad. And I think he may have misinterpreted my tweet as to imply something negative about his debate. Whereas my point was simply, we'd love to have Chris Cuomo here. I would love to see Dave Smith rag on him. I think this is going to be epic. Dave Smith is a way better choice than me. And I was unable to do it because of scheduling constraints. And so there's that. Now that that's been addressed, the big question is there a redemption arc for someone like Chris Cuomo, knowing everything we know about what he said? He's the guy who went on CNN and said, who said protests should be peaceful, need to be peaceful. While people were they were burning down police stations. People died. A retired police captain, David Dorn, was shot and killed during these riots. And Cuomo goes on TV and says, who says they have to be peaceful? I'm like, dude, people are being murdered. Small businesses have put up things in their windows saying, please don't hurt us. Is there a redemption for this guy?
Only if he admits he was wrong. If he admits he was wrong and admits, even in this debate, that he made a lot of egregious statements in the heat of emotion during COVID. Or
Chris Cuomo, now that I'm thinking about it, he might just be like a punching bag to get a bunch of viral moments. Because, yeah, Tim Pool is right. Patrick Bet David hiring him, he doesn't have a large fan base. He doesn't have a cult-like following. None of these things come with Chris Cuomo. It's kind of like Don Lemon. He's a corporate employee. Like, look at Don Lemon's show right now. He's getting like less than 1,000 views per episode on YouTube. He's nobody now. He's just a corporate employee. The only reason why he had a name is because the news employed him and told him to go talk every night, so people knew him. Same thing with Chris Cuomo. Maybe he's just a punching bag because, we saw the debate between Candace Owens and Chris Cuomo on Patrick Bet David's show, and Candace Owens destroyed him, like absolutely destroyed him. So if Tim Pool debated him, I'm sure it would be a destruction. If Dave Smith is debating him, I'm sure it's going to be embarrassing for Chris Cuomo again. It's hard to have a leg to stand on whenever you have said all of those things that Tim Pool is reminding us that Chris Cuomo said. about the BLM riots, about the lockdowns and everything like that. It's hard to have a leg to stand on when you were that bought into that side of things. And obviously he was doing it for a paycheck. Obviously he was doing it because he was paid to say those things, but he took it to another level. So it's hard to have a leg to stand on in any of these debates. Maybe he is just the designated punching bag.
Or he was listening to his corporate overlords and he was just following orders and now he realizes it was a mistake. Or he shouldn't have backed his brother, but family ties, he just had to. Like, if you admit you were wrong, then yeah, absolutely. I would love to hear you talk and let's hear what you have to say. And I will even give you a fraction of the benefit of the doubt that you might be genuine. But the fact that he's papering over it like he never made those comments shows me that he's a total fraud. There's zero redemption arc for someone like this who's not willing to admit. They just want to gaslight you and to believe they never said these things in the first place. And by the way, he's not the only one. There are tons of people asking for COVID redemption. We didn't know. It's like, no, we knew, and we were quieted, silenced. I knew.
Look at the mask flip-flopping.
Yep.
And the lockdown.
Ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine.
There's so much mask flip-flopping, but there's the lockdown flip-flopping, I think, is the hilarious element of it. Democrat politicians being like, I never said we should force businesses to lock down, and then Defiant L's on Twitter will post them
the video reels.
Or it's like two tweets where one's like, it is important that every business shut down whether they believe they should or not because we're all in this together, and then a year later, like, I never said that. I suppose the question I have, or I suppose my feeling on the issue is, I talked about Joey Salads a while ago. He's not really been, in the limelight these past few years, but his big thing was several years ago, he filmed a fake video where he put a car in a parking lot with like Trump stuff inside of it and then hired black dudes to destroy it. And he made a video where he's like, what'll happen if I leave a car in this neighborhood with all this Trump stuff on it? And then faked it and someone caught him doing it. I insulted him. I said, screw you. You're fake news. You're a liar. You're a bad guy. And then I thought about it. He had a lot of fans. And I was like, if this guy has a big following and he has no redemption opportunities, the only direction he can go is toward the darkness. So if we say, I accept your apology, do better, welcome to the right side.
Absolutely.
Then you bring someone into the fold. That being said, I don't know if Chris Cuomo is redeemable in that regard. Joey Salads was a guy who was just like, this video makes me views, and was kind of bumbling about and just.
Let me know in the comments, but I agree with Tim Pool here. Like, I don't think that Chris Cuomo is necessarily redeemable, but I don't know if that's really the point. I think what Patrick Bet-David is trying to create is a more entertaining way of talking about these things, and Chris Cuomo just kind of represents, a different point of view. I don't know if he necessarily represents perfectly the other side of things, like the hardcore woke side of things, but he definitely has a different point of view. At the very least, he's forced to have them because of the things that he said in the past. So it's an opposing viewpoint. Like I said, whenever he was first hired, I didn't love it either. And I still don't really understand it fully. Like, I'm sure you could have found someone else, but maybe Patrick Bet-David just has a vision that we can't really see. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about the Chris Cuomo hire. But more importantly, I wanted to do this video to talk about what Tim Pool had to say about the email exchange between Patrick Bet-David and Tim Pool, and obviously the Twitter exchange as well. Seems like it was a big misunderstanding where Tim Pool wasn't saying, I am too big for Patrick Bet-David's podcast or Patrick Bet-David's debate, so I need a private jet or I'm not coming. It seems like, hey, I would love to do this, but it's very far from me. It's all the way down in Miami or Fort Lauderdale or wherever. I need a private jet or it's going to be just too inconvenient to make it worth it for me. And the PR team, the PR company must have just kind of, maybe sent the wrong message back to Patrick Bet-David. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. I know a lot of people are on Tim Pool's side. A lot of people are on Patrick Bet-David's side. Let me know who you think is in the right and the wrong, all that stuff in the comments. And I hope to see you guys on the next video.